So, imagine for a second that you are holding a diagnostic X-ray up to the light.
Right, like one of those really stark black and white images.
Exactly, yeah. And right there in the center, you can see this jagged white break right across your forearm. I mean, it's undeniable.
Oh, totally
The
undeniable.
doctor comes in, points a pen at the screen, taps the fracture, and says, well, there it is.
Yeah.
And in that moment, um, there is actually this strange kind of comfort in the precision of it all, isn't there? Like you have a problem, it is visible, it's categorized, and it is entirely physical.
Right, because it gives a clear boundary. I mean,
Hmm.
it's a mechanical failure that requires a mechanical fix.
Yeah, exactly.
And we are deeply conditioned to view our physical well-being through that exact lens of engineering. Like a
Yeah.
part breaks, you cast it, and then you just wait for the biology to bridge the gap.
But so what if the fastest way to heal that bone isn't just to look at the break and slap a cast on it, but to forcefully, intentionally imagine that the X-ray is entirely clear?
Which sounds completely wild to most people.
It does. But what if the diagnostic landscape we should actually be paying attention to isn't on that lighted screen at all, but, entirely internal?
Yeah.
Today, we are stepping far outside the traditional bounds of biology and conventional medicine. We're looking at a framework that asks you to treat your focus, your energy, and your intention as actual literal tools of physical recovery.
Which is a massive leap, right?
Yeah.
For a lot of people.
Really huge.
When we talk about health, the mental and emotional components are usually treated as secondary, like a nice bonus if you can manage to stay positive.
Right, like a cherry on top.
Exactly. But the source material we're unpacking today, it flips that hierarchy completely upside down.
So we are doing a deep dive today into chapter 16 of Rhonda Byrne's book, The Magic.
Mhm.
And this specific chapter is titled Magic and Miracles in Health.
Yeah, it's a fascinating read.
Now, a quick level set for you listening, right?
Yeah.
Our goal here is to objectively dismantle and examine the author's proposition.
Right. We need to be clear about that.
Yes, very clear. We are not doctors. We are not prescribing medical advice, and we are absolutely not telling you to throw away your prescriptions.
Please don't do that.
Yeah, don't do that. We are exploring a highly specific, very regimented methodology based on the law of attraction, and we're looking at the mechanics of how the text claims intentional gratitude can dramatically alter your physical reality.
And that word regimented is really key here. I mean, this isn't just some poster on a wall telling you to, think positive while you cough.
Hang in there, kitty.
Right, exactly. The text lays out a comprehensive system, almost like software code, that you are supposed to run in your brain to systematically overwrite the way you experience physical illness or fatigue.
So let's start with how the author frames the concept of a miracle, because she opens the chapter with a quote from St. Augustine, the theologian from the 4th and 5th centuries.
Yeah, and it's a very specific quote.
It is. He said, miracles are not contrary to nature, but only contrary to what we know about nature.
I love that.
I do too, because it completely strips the mystical, supernatural baggage away from the word miracle.
It grounds the concept entirely.
Yeah.
Usually, like when we hear miracle cure, we think of a glitch in the matrix.
Right.
We think the laws of physics were just suspended for 5 minutes to do someone a favor.
Like magic.
Exactly. But St. Augustine is arguing that nature's laws are perfectly intact during a miracle, right? It's simply that our human understanding of those laws is incomplete.
Oh, that makes so much sense.
Think about germ theory. If you told a doctor in the, say, 14th century that invisible microscopic bugs were making people sick and that just washing your hands could miraculously stop the plague,
He would have locked you up.
they would have called it magic or heresy,
Because it was contrary to what they knew about nature at the time.
Precisely. Fast forward to today, and we map out the genome. We use CRISPR to edit DNA, things that would be absolute sorcery a few hundred years ago.
Yeah, that's wild to think about.
The text uses this quote to suggest that the human mind's ability to direct the body's healing is just another natural mechanism. Like, we might not have the biological X-ray to map out exactly how gratitude accelerates cellular regeneration yet, but the author argues it is a natural law nonetheless.
And from that premise, right, the text establishes what it considers to be our true baseline of health. And the language used here is really provocative.
It really is.
The author claims that feeling healthy, energized, and full of happiness isn't some rare peak experience we should, hope to stumble into occasionally. It is our birthright.
That word carries so much weight. Birthright.
Yeah.
Because it implies ownership. It implies an inheritance that you're naturally entitled to simply by existing.
Which fundamentally changes the cultural narrative around health. I mean, in our modern culture, health is often framed as a grueling mountain climb.
Constantly.
Right. You have to fight off disease, battle your genetics, conquer your fatigue. We use war metaphors constantly.
All the time, fighting a cold.
Battling an infection. The baseline assumption is that the body wants to break down and we have to violently force it to stay together.
The author is arguing the exact opposite. The text positions optimal health as an abundant river that naturally wants to flow through you.
Okay, a river.
Yeah. Illness, therefore, isn't an invading army. It is a dam that is blocking the flow.
Oh, I see.
The text refers to common colds, bouts of depression, or even severe bodily malfunctions simply as states of less than full health.
Okay, I want to build an analogy around that phrasing, that less than full health thing, because I think it clarifies the author's point beautifully.
Let's hear it.
Think about your smartphone. Like when you pull a brand new phone out of the box, it runs perfectly, right?
Oh, yes, so fast.
The battery lasts 24 hours, apps open in a millisecond, the screen is brilliant. That optimal performance is the factory setting. It is the phone's birthright.
But inevitably, after a year, it starts to get sluggish.
Exactly. You download 60 background apps you never use. They are constantly pinging GPS towers, draining the battery.
Yep, the cache fills up with junk data.
Right. The operating system gets bogged down. The phone is essentially experiencing illness. But here's the critical part. The illness isn't a permanent hardware failure.
Right, the processor isn't actually broken.
No, it's just background noise draining the system's resources.
Okay.
It is in a state of less than full performance.
Taking that analogy further, right, when a miracle healing occurs in the context of this book, it's not that a magical wizard inserted a new microchip into your device.
Yeah.
It is simply that someone finally hit the factory reset button. The background apps were force closed, the cache was cleared, and the phone instantly snapped back to the optimal state it was originally designed for.
That's spot on.
The text argues that a miracle of healing is just full health, instantly rushing back into a space where the flow had been blocked.
So the immediate practical question for you listening becomes, if health is a natural river flowing toward us, what on earth are we doing to build the dam?
What are the background apps?
Exactly. What are the background apps draining our battery?
Well, the author points the finger directly at where we place our focus, specifically the trap of the illness focus. And this relies heavily on the premise of the law of attraction.
The idea that like attracts like.
Yes, but applied to a biological state. The text warns that having negative feelings about a sickness, fear, worry, frustration, it doesn't just fail to restore health, it actively reduces it further.
Wow.
And this is where the framework challenges a deeply ingrained human behavior. When we get sick, or when we are unhappy with our physical appearance, our dominant emotional frequency becomes complaint.
We obsess over it. I mean, let me raise my hand here and confess to being the absolute worst offender of this.
I think we all are, honestly.
Right. If I get a weird twitch in my eyelid or a sudden pain in my elbow, I don't just notice it and move on. I go straight to the internet.
The doom scroll.
It is 2:20 a.m. The glow of the phone is lighting up the dark room, and I am 20 pages deep into a medical forum, hyper-researching. I gather every worst-case scenario, every statistical dread, and by 2:15 a.m., I am practically writing my will over an eyelid twitch.
That is the modern human condition in a nutshell. We think we are being responsible. We tell ourselves, knowledge is power. I need to know what I am dealing with.
We think we are arming ourselves for battle.
Exactly. But the text says that is exactly how we make it worse. The author writes, we can't make a problem go away by focusing on it, because focusing on the problem can only make the problem worse.
Man.
From the perspective of the law of attraction, your attention is your power. It is your currency.
Kinetic currency.
Right. And by pointing it directly at the dreaded outcome, you are literally feeding the disease with your focus. You are magnetizing the illness to yourself.
It suggests that gathering terrifying information isn't arming yourself, it is surrendering your territory.
That's a good way to put it.
If the magnetic rule of the universe is that you receive back whatever you predominantly feel, then going down a 2.0 a.m. rabbit hole of sheer medical terror is broadcasting a massive request for more terror.
Yeah.
Okay, I have to push back hard on this, though. I need you to thread the needle here for me, because on behalf of anyone listening who is currently dealing with a serious diagnosis or chronic pain, this can sound dangerously close to toxic positivity.
Well, medical denial, yeah.
Right. If I have a slip disc in my back, the pain is screaming at me at a volume of 10. It feels delusional, maybe even negligent to just say, I shouldn't focus on this. How does the text differentiate between helpful redirection and just sticking your head in the sand while your house burns down?
That is the most critical friction point of this entire philosophy. I
Yeah.
mean, it is very easy to be grateful when the sun is shining.
Sure.
It feels monumentally difficult, if not insulting, to be told to be grateful when your body is in absolute agony.
Exactly.
The text actually acknowledges this difficulty. The author writes that it can be very difficult to access feelings of gratitude when sick or in pain. But, and this is the key, it insists on the necessity of the pivot anyway for a very specific reason.
It's about breaking the circuit, isn't it?
Yes. It is not about pretending the pain doesn't exist. It is not about avoiding the doctor.
Okay, good.
Remember, the text explicitly states you should follow whatever medical assistance you have chosen. If your house is on fire, you still call the fire department.
Right.
That is the physical action. But while the fire department is working, what are you doing with your mind? Are you standing there visualizing the entire neighborhood burning to ash, feeling the terror of losing everything?
Oh, wow.
Or are you actively forcing your mind to focus on the foundation that is still standing, the family that is safe on the lawn?
So the medical treatment is addressing the physical manifestation, but the mental focus dictates the environment the body is trying to heal within.
Exactly. The text argues that even the smallest bit of gratitude helps increase the flow of health.
Even just a tiny bit.
Right. You don't have to be thrilled about your slip disc. That would be absurd. But you must find a tiny wedge of gratitude somewhere else to interrupt the magnetic signal of pain.
Because the alternative,
Letting the fear run rampant builds the dam higher.
it's a profound shift from, I need to conquer this disease to I need to cultivate an environment of health so the disease can't survive.
Exactly.
But understanding that conceptually is entirely different from executing it when your body is literally screaming. If willpower isn't enough, how do we actually force that pivot?
Well, the author provides a highly specific, triple-pronged approach. It is a structured methodology designed to bypass your natural panic response.
A structured methodology.
Yes, you can think of it as a forced redirection of the mind, anchoring into the past, the present, and the future.
Let's unpack the first prong then. Health you've received in the past. The text instructs the reader to recall 3 separate times in their life: childhood, adolescence, or adulthood, when they felt, quote, on top of the world.
Full of energy, deeply happy.
Right. You are supposed to visualize those times, say the magic words thank you, and feel sincere gratitude for those specific memories.
Notice the specific instruction to find 3 separate times.
I was going to ask about that. Why 3? Why not just one really great memory of running a marathon or 10 memories of summer vacations?
It comes down to how the human brain processes evidence and pattern recognition.
Okay.
We have a negativity bias built right into our evolutionary hardware. We are wired to remember the saber-toothed tiger that almost ate us far more vividly than the nice berry patch we found.
Survival mechanism.
Exactly. When you are sick, that negativity bias takes over, and your brain tells you a story. I am always sick. My body is broken. It has always been broken.
It creates a false historical narrative.
It does. If you only recall one time you felt healthy, the cynical, panicked part of your brain can dismiss it as a fluke.
Right. Like, sure, I felt good that one Tuesday in 2015, but that was just an anomaly.
Yeah, and 2 times might just be a coincidence. But forcing your brain to locate 3 distinct, chronologically separated moments of vibrant health establishes an undeniable pattern.
It's an evidence-gathering mission against your own pessimism.
Yes.
For the gamers listening, this feels exactly like loading a saved game file. Imagine you are playing a video game, your character is in a chaotic boss fight, and the health bar is flashing red at 10%.
Oh yeah, stressful.
You are stressed, your heart rate is up. What prong 1 asks you to do is pause the game, open the menu, and look at 3 different save files from earlier in the game where your character had a 100% health bar.
Right.
You aren't playing those files, but you are forcing your nervous system to look at them and remember, oh, right, this hardware is fully capable of operating at maximum capacity. I have experienced this reality before.
That is a brilliant way to conceptualize it.
Yeah.
You are recalibrating the nervous system by proving that the baseline of health is not just a theory. It is a historical fact of your own life.
Wow.
Once that bedrock is laid down, the panic begins to subside, which allows you to move to prong 2.
So prong 2 is health. You're continuing to receive in the present. The instruction here is to think about the health you are currently receiving today. Right. You choose 5 functions of your body that are working well right now. Arms, legs, eyes, liver, kidneys, brain, heart. And one by one, mentally say thank you for each.
5 present tense functions. This is where the practice demands incredible granularity.
Because the immediate objection from someone in crisis is going to be, my whole body is falling apart.
Right.
I mean, if I am in a hospital bed with multiple fractures, what do you mean find 5 things working well?
And that is exactly why the text lists internal organs alongside limbs and senses. When we are in pain, the pain becomes the macro. It consumes the entire horizon of our awareness.
We generalize our suffering.
Yes, we say my body is broken, but biologically, that is almost never true.
Wait, really?
Yeah, a specific part of your body is in distress, while thousands of incredibly complex, miraculous systems are operating flawlessly in the background just to keep you breathing.
It forces a pivot from macro misery to micro miracles.
Micro miracles, I love that.
Even if my skeletal structure is compromised and I am in a cast, I can stop the generalization. I can say, wait, are my kidneys still filtering toxins perfectly right now? Yes.
Is my liver quietly metabolizing proteins without complaining? Yes.
Are my ears processing the sound of the room? Yes.
By isolating 5 specific functioning miracles in your present reality, you are fracturing the monolith of the illness.
Oh, fracturing the monolith. That's good.
The illness is no longer your entire identity. It is just one loud tenant in a massive apartment building where everyone else is paying their rent and keeping quiet.
That's a great analogy.
And you are choosing to focus your attention, your magnetic currency, on the good tenants.
I love that. You are shifting the magnetic frequency from complaint, which brings more problems, to gratitude, which the text claims attracts an abundance of health.
Exactly.
So we've used 3 memories to anchor the past and 5 bodily functions to anchor the present. The foundation is built, but prong 3 is where the real heavy lifting happens.
It really is.
This is the attempt to literally alter the future.
Step 3 is health you want to receive. And the instruction is remarkably focused. You are told to choose just one thing you want to improve about your body for today's practice.
Just one.
Just one. But the methodology here is where the law of attraction is applied at its most potent level.
The text says you must spend exactly 1 minute visualizing a scene of yourself with the ideal state of the body part you want to improve. And as you see it in your mind, you must be grateful for it as though you have already received it.
That phrasing, as though you have already received it, is the linchpin of the entire philosophy.
Let's look at the specific examples the author uses because the language is fascinating. It doesn't just say, be grateful for your heart.
Right.
It says, if you want to magically restore health to your heart, give thanks for a strong and healthy heart that maintains the well-being of every organ in your body.
Beautifully specific.
Or for the blood, right. Give thanks for pure and healthy blood that flows oxygen and nutrients to all parts of your body.
It is painting a vivid operational blueprint.
But the crucial observation here is what is missing from those sentences. There is absolute zero acknowledgement of the disease.
Zero.
If you have kidney disease, the visualization contains 0% kidney disease. You don't visualize the tumor shrinking. You don't visualize the infection dying. You don't focus on the battle.
Because focusing on the battle means you are still focusing on the disease.
Yes. The linguistic shift required here is massive. Think about how we normally talk about getting better. We say, I hope this medication works.
I wish my knee would stop throbbing.
I hope my blood work comes back clean.
All of those statements are anchored in a state of lack. I hope I get better inherently implies and reinforces I am currently sick.
The text demands an imaginative leap into a parallel reality. You have to change from I hope I get better to thank you for my perfect, strong, healthy knee right now.
Right now.
You are stepping into a version of reality where the problem simply does not exist and generating the profound relief and gratitude you would feel in that reality.
The author describes this as magnetizing the outcome in one fell swoop. It is the fusion of a highly specific thought, the ideal state, with a highly elevated emotion gratitude.
One fell swoop.
Yeah. And the text even quotes Hippocrates here, often called the father of Western medicine, who said, natural forces within us are the true healers of disease.
I paused when I read that. Why insert a quote from an ancient Greek physician right after talking about the law of attraction and visualization?
Well, it bridges the gap between mysticism and biology. The author is suggesting that these natural forces Hippocrates identified aren't just blind biological immune responses. They are deeply intertwined with and directed by our mental state.
Oh, direct by it.
Yes,
Yeah.
visualization isn't just a daydream. It is the key that unlocks and directs those internal forces. By holding the image of the ideal state and fueling it with gratitude, you're essentially handing your body's natural healing mechanisms a precise architectural rendering.
You're handing the architect the final beautiful blueprint of the building and saying, build this.
Right.
You aren't handing them a photograph of a collapsed burning building and saying, don't build this, because the subconscious mind and the body's cellular response doesn't process the don't, it just processes the image of the burning building.
Exactly. You must provide the ideal state. And it's worth noting the text even applies this to weight management.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it instructs that if you want to change your weight, first think about the ideal weight you want to be. Imagine yourself at that weight and give thanks for it as though you have received it now. The principle is applied universally across all physical desires.
Okay, doing this visualization for 1 minute combined with the past and present exercises is a powerful reset. I mean, if you pause the audio and do it right now, you will undoubtedly feel a physiological shift.
Well, for sure.
Your shoulders will drop, your breathing will slow. But let's be realistic here. 1 minute of positive visualization isn't going to hold the line against 23 hours and 59 minutes of worrying about your symptoms.
Which is why the author doesn't just offer this as a one-off exercise. The text outlines a strict daily integration, including what we can call an emergency protocol.
The full magic practice number 16 is a 5-step daily process. Step 1 actually sets a broader baseline. Before you even address health, you count your blessings.
Just a general list.
Right. You make a list of 10 general blessings in your life, write down why you're grateful for them, reread the list, and say thank you 3 times for each one.
You're priming the pump, getting the mind into the frequency of gratitude before you tackle the high-stakes issue of your health.
Then steps 2, 3, and 4 are the triple-pronged approach we just broke down. The past memories, the present functioning organs, the future ideal state visualization.
Right.
But the emergency protocol is where the real discipline is demanded. The text states that it is vital that whenever a negative thought or feeling about the current state of your body arises, you must replace it immediately.
Immediately. That implies a zero-tolerance policy for dwelling on symptoms.
You replace it by visualizing yourself with the ideal state and being truly grateful. And from a psychological standpoint, this requires an exhausting amount of mental discipline at first.
It really does.
It is very similar to cognitive behavioral therapy, where you learn to catch cognitive distortions in real time. But the mechanism here is crucial. It is about active substitution, not suppression.
The distinction is everything. Suppression is telling yourself, don't think about the pain in my neck. Don't think about it.
Which never works.
Which is the classic don't think about a pink elephant paradox. The harder you try to suppress it, the larger it looms in your mind.
Right. The text isn't demanding suppression. It is demanding an overwrite.
When overwrite, exactly.
The moment the thought of the illness arises, you don't fight the thought. You instantly load up the visualization of the ideal state. Every single time your mind wanders down the dark alley of what if this gets worse? What if the test results are bad?
And it will wander.
It will. You have to forcefully grab it by the collar, march it back out to the street, and point it at the brightly lit image of perfect flowing health.
It is a relentless mental tennis match.
Yeah.
Every time the negative thought serves the ball, you instantly volley it back with the ideal state.
Which brings us to the final piece of the daily practice. Step 5, the nighttime routine. And this introduces a very unexpected tactile element into what has been an entirely mental framework.
Yes, the magic rock.
The text calls it the magic rock.
It asks you to find an actual physical rock. Keep it by your bed.
The instruction is, just before you go to sleep tonight, hold your magic rock in one hand and say the magic words thank you for the best thing that happened during the day. Why introduce a rock into this?
Well, if we view this through the lens of somatic therapy or grounding techniques, the mind can easily get lost in abstractions, especially when anxiety is high.
Sure.
The physical sensation of holding a solid, textured object in your hand brings your awareness violently back into the present physical moment. It anchors you.
I see it as a physical piece of hardware for your mental software. Think about the environment of going to sleep. You turn off the lights. The distractions of the day are gone. The house is quiet.
Too quiet sometimes.
That is precisely when racing thoughts and health anxieties strike the hardest. The darkness amplifies the internal noise. Every ache in your body suddenly feels twice as loud because there is nothing else competing for your attention.
And if you let the mind drift into that anxiety as you fall asleep, the consequences are profound.
Exactly. Holding the rock physically interrupts that cognitive loop of worry. You have something solid in your palm to anchor your focus while you search your memory banks for the best thing that happened that day.
Right.
But let's dive deeper into the timing of this. The text says just before you go to sleep. The transition into sleep is a highly vulnerable, highly programmable state for the human brain, isn't it?
It is. You are transitioning through different brainwave states, eventually moving into theta waves as you cross the threshold into sleep. The subconscious mind remains active all night. It spends those 8 hours processing the events, the emotions, and crucially, the dominant final thoughts of the day.
Oh, wow.
It builds a scaffolding out of whatever you hand it as you drift off.
So if you go to sleep immediately after doom-scrolling medical forums or lying there frustrated by your physical pain, you are handing the architect a blueprint of distress.
Yes.
You are telling your subconscious, here, ruminate on this terror for the next 8 hours. You are letting the battery drain all night long on background anxiety apps.
But by holding the magic rock and forcefully directing your final conscious thought toward the best thing that happened and wrapping it in sincere gratitude, you are changing the entire baseline of the night.
Incredible.
You are sending the subconscious to work on a frequency of positivity, abundance, and safety. It prevents the mind from marinating in bodily aches overnight, creating an internal environment conducive to the natural forces of healing.
When you zoom out and look at this entire 5-step process, counting blessings in the morning, the past, present, and future exercises during the day, the immediate substitution protocol whenever fear strikes, and the physical anchor of the magic rock before sleep. It is a total 24-hour siege on negative thinking.
A siege, yes.
It is a comprehensive defensive and offensive strategy for the mind.
The offense is the deliberate construction of the ideal state. The defense is the ruthless eviction of the illness focus.
It is an intense framework of personal responsibility. So how do we encapsulate this massive shift in perspective? The text fundamentally challenges us to stop viewing full health as a luxury or a lucky break and to claim it as a birthright.
Exactly.
It reframes illness not as a permanent identity, but as a temporary blockage in a natural flow, a blockage that can be cleared sometimes instantly, resulting in what we call a miracle.
And it explicitly warns against the cultural norm of hyper-researching and complaining about our symptoms, arguing that giving attention to the disease only magnetizes more of it.
Instead, it offers a granular, methodical approach to redirection, grounding ourselves in the undeniable historical proof of our past health, finding the silent majority of microscopic miracles currently working in our present bodies,
Yes.
and making the bold, imaginative leap to visualize our future ideal state in one fell swoop. And finally, locking all of that in by protecting our subconscious as we sleep.
It reminds us that we have the agency to utilize this practice every single day, to run this software code repeatedly, to alter our physical reality.
It has been a profound journey unpacking this, and as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over, one that pushes the boundaries of everything we've discussed today.
Let's hear it.
If St. Augustine was correct, if miracles are just natural laws we don't fully comprehend yet, and if the core proposition of this text holds true, that our directed focus and our emotional frequency truly dictate our physical environment.
Which is a big if, but a powerful one.
Right. Then perhaps the most advanced, the most precise, and the most powerful medical instrument we will ever possess isn't found in a hospital.
Wow.
It isn't a surgical laser, and it isn't an X-ray machine. Perhaps it is found in the disciplined, fiercely grateful, unwavering focus of our own minds.
An instrument that is always online and always available.
Exactly. So my challenge to you today is this. Take just 60 seconds, sometime today, just 1 minute. Pick one area of your physical well-being you want to improve. Step completely out of the binary, broken or not broken X-ray mindset. Stop hoping it gets better, and for 1 minute, visualize your own ideal state as a present reality.
Just try it.
See what happens to the diagnostic landscape when you change the lens. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you next time.